guys, this is Fangirl Flails. My name is Kira and today we are flailing about 2014. I know it is so late, but here's my year in review. In 2014, I read 93 books, which is 23 books more than I did last year. Out of those 93 books, 14 of them were 5-star books. 54 of them were 4-star books. 18 of them were 3-star books, and 7 of them were 2-star books, and I had no 1-star books this year. And out of those books, 29 of them were graphic novels. This was the year of the graphic novel for me. And then, not surprisingly, out of those 93 books, 24 of them were young adult. And then 10 of these 93 books were nonfiction, which is kind of surprising. I didn't feel like I read a lot of nonfiction, but I guess that happened. Then another 10 books that I read this year were general adult literary fiction. And then I read 9 middle grade books this year. I read 7 collections of either poetry or short stories, just a bind up of things. And then my smallest piece of the pie, I only read 4 classics this year. And some of them could be considered modern classics and not so much classics. And here's the pie chart with the percentages. Now, one of the most important things to me is the gender breakdown, so let's take a look at that. As you see here, more than half of the authors that I read were women, and that is great. That is what I'm aiming for, a little more than half. So I read exactly 50 books that were written just by women this year. And then you can see that my percentage of male authors is pretty good. I might want to get that down a little bit, but I mean, what can you do when you read a lot of graphic novels, which is a very male-dominated field? I ended up reading 34 books just by guys this year. Then I read 7 books that were a collab between multiple genders. There were collabs between men and women and non-binary genders, and so forth and so on. Then my smallest piece of the pie, I only read 1 book by a non-binary person, but that is more than I have read in the past. Then out of my 50 books that I read by women, 10 of those were by women of color. And then out of my 34 books that I read by men, only 3 of them were men of color, which adds up to 13 books by people of color that I read, and I really want to get that up. This has improved from last year, but it's still something that I want to work on in 2015. Speaking of diversity, and something that I have been continuously working on both last year and into this year, is reading books by LGBTQ+ authors. 9 of the authors that I read are out to the public that I could find readily available. There may have been more, but this is just who I know of. And then in all the books that I read, I counted around 23 LGBTQ+ characters. I think these might have just been main characters, which makes more sense than it just being minor characters, because I read a lot of this genre. Now let's go back and look at the pages. I read 20,271 pages this year, which averages out to around 218 pages a book. Which, yeah, that makes sense because I read a lot of graphic novels this year. In 2015, I do really want to read longer books, things that have been sitting on my bookshelf that I have been putting off because of length. I'm not going to stop reading graphic novels, but I would like to add in more lengthy books. Because the lengthiest book that I read in 2014 was Cress by Marissa Meyer, which is 550 pages. So my reading goals for 2015 are to read more classics. Definitely. But then to counteract the whole classics being mostly written by white, dead, privileged men, I want to read more people of color. I also plan on reading a lot more books by people who fit outside of the gender binary. Like, not just cis women and men, basically. And then finally, I want to get my TBR shelf, all of this, down to under 100 books. I want to get it into the double digits. At the beginning of January, I had 113 physical books on my TBR shelf, not counting graphic novels. Counting graphic novels, I had 122. Let's not talk about how I went and bought books at the end of January. Let's just not talk about it. I mean, I would love to get my 3.5 shelves of books down to 2 shelves, that would be amazing, and that would help me reach the goal of reading lengthier books because they take up more space. So I don't really know which I should go to, if I should go with the get it under 100 or if I should get it to 2 shelves. I'm still thinking. Let me know what you think I should do. My shelves are that big. There's 3 of them, and then the pile right there, the pink pile. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for putting up with the tardiness of all of my videos. I'm starting to get back into the swing of things, so I'm gonna make this announcement right now. New videos every Monday and Friday. I'm doing it. Again, thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye! Today I am flailing about the books that I could possibly be reading in February.